You are about to see a film about people. People of all sizes, colors, backgrounds, personalities, interests, education, and intelligence. But they all have one thing in common. They all work for a living. And this is what we are concerned with in this film, with workers and how to understand them better so that they and we will have a happy and successful relationship. This film is based on principles developed and defined by a man who many say knows more about worker motivation than anyone in the world. He is Dr. Frederick Herzberg, professor of industrial psychology at Case Western Reserve University. His books are regarded as classics in the field of worker motivation. He is sought after as teacher, lecturer, and consultant both here and abroad. This film, you should therefore understand, is based on Dr. Herzberg's principles. We believe that a firm knowledge of these principles will help you to work more effectively with those who work for you because of your understanding of what makes them want to do their jobs better.
His title may be foreman, department head, supervisor, vice president. He may have his name above his door. He may have a shop desk, or just that indefinable air of authority that says, I'm in charge. Whichever it is, he's a manager. A manager is someone who directs the work of others to produce effective results. His role in setting goals may be comprehensive or relatively limited, but he is the one to whom people look for leadership, whether they call him, "Hey, Charlie," or
Mr. Abernathy,
or even
that cigar-smoking so-and-so in the front office.
The authority to get things done can be used by a manager in a variety of ways. He can apply pressure.
Listen, if we don't get this job out on time, it's going to be someone's neck, and it's sure not going to be mine.
A lot of people think of obtaining results only through pressure and threats. Well, they do have their place. They're useful and sometimes necessary means of achieving short-term goals, but they're temporary measures. They will not accomplish a consistent long-range improvement in work performance. Modern management concepts, applying what has been learned by psychological studies, on-the-job surveys, the experience of many companies, have produced a new look at this matter of motivation. Motivation. Why do people do things? More importantly, why do they want to do them better, give the extra ounce of effort, go beyond the routine requirements of the job? Well, in a minute, we'll look at some of the things that motivate people. But first, let's think about why motivation is important. Why does industry need employee motivation? Well, the aim of motivation is improvement. And improvement means change. Doing the job better inevitably means changing present attitudes and work habits. It's a general theory in industry that employees resist change.
Look, you know I can't let you have these parts on just the yellow slip. Where's the Form 320?
Look, at the front office, they said save time. This is the new routine.
Oh, those geniuses up front are the smart boys. Why do they always have to upset the whole system just to try out their stupid new ideas?
Part of industrial folklore is that employees don't like change. The facts are, however, that employees do like change. That's why they buy new cars, new clothes, try different hairdos, take improvement courses, and want better jobs. The changes they don't like are those that are forced upon them.
All I know is that we used to bolt that part. Now they're talking about welding. You know, they didn't even ask me, what's this mean to my job? You know, some guy comes in and he wants...
It's not change that people resent. It's being changed without being consulted and without any explanation of how their own jobs will be affected. There is not likely to be resentment if the employee makes the changes voluntarily and on his own, or has contributed to the decision for change.
Well, Ed, you don't have to worry about the operation on that next machine anymore. They're going to combine it with the turning and facing you're doing. It'll save time and reduce
That's
scratch.
just what I've been saying for the last 6
That's what
months.
you've been saying for the past 6 months, I know. They've finally seen it your way. You should hear what the boss is saying about the great crew he's got over here.
Well,
This interest of the employee in doing his job better and striving for advancement is at the heart of motivation, which is why motivation is so valuable a management principle. Without motivation, there may be a passive willingness to do a job.
Look, John, I told you we'd run a test on this sample as soon as we could.
Well, the thing is, I've got to have those specifications done the first thing tomorrow morning. Now, this afternoon, if you could...
Yeah, it's
sort of-
always an emergency. We got 2 guys off sick, you know that? Well, I'll do the best I can.
Thanks, be great help.
Willingness to do the best I can is an adequate response, but it's the response of the unmotivated employee. Motivation creates the active desire not just to do the job, but to do it better.
It's always the last minute with you, huh, John?
Seems that way.
We're short-handed, you know. Now, let's see. Let me check this order on the job I'm working on now. Well, they don't need this until the foundry work is done. So, I guess I can get started on this right away and get it over to you about, 3:15.
Boy, that's great. Thanks a lot.
By the way, John, they're doing a great job of predicting hurricanes and tornadoes. Have you heard about it?
What?
Well, now, it just seems to me, if they can get an advance tip on something like that, you know, the vast upheavals of nature, couldn't it be possible for you to give us just a little warning on these last-minute, panic-bucking jobs of yours that come along every week or so? Now, you could give us a call.
Well, now, you know, we can't always...
No, well, the Weather Bureau fumbles one once in a while, too.
Okay, I get your point. In other words, if we could see this thing coming, it would save time.
Yeah, and it might make you and me live a little longer, too.
That is an example of motivation. It's not a magic pill or an instant additive. It's an attitude toward the job, which looks beyond passable performance to see how it can be done better. We can make a neat chart, all very orderly, employees all in a row. Beside each, a column which represents his contribution to the company's total effort. We can subdivide each column to show some differences in ability, in physical dexterity, and so on. But we can say that the major difference is that some men are adequately motivated and others undermotivated. And if motivation were some sort of magic formula, we could just apply it to each employee in the proper amount and get uniform results like this. But employees are not all the same, are not faceless symbols on a chart. They are all different. Things that motivate some individuals have little influence on others. Motivational factors differ from job to job. They vary in different types of work. Indeed, no 2 employees are motivated in precisely the same way to the same degree by the same conditions. But after that has been said, we can go ahead to state this principle, that there are certain management attitudes which influence to some degree the motivation of every employee on every job. We all reveal our motivation, or lack of it, in the casual things we say.
Too bad. No trumpets, no trombones. This calls for a real fanfare.
Hey, guess what I found in the chicken soup?
Sure, I know Ned Edwards. He started with the company same year I did.
Say, honey, you might just possibly be interested in what the boss said yesterday.
We've always done it that way.
No use asking the Townleys over.
You know, I ought to punch you in the nose.
Gee, Mrs. Simpson, you really been here for 25 years?
Those were a few snapshots of men and women in their daily lives. Now, if we consider them in detail, we'll see that they illustrate the basic principles of on-the-job motivation. Principles which are not classroom theories, but facts of human behavior. Facts of business and industrial life, developed through years of intensive study and research. These are principles which modern management has accepted and is learning to utilize. In examining these principles, we must make a very important distinction between motivators and what we may call satisfiers or maintenance factors. They both involve the various wants and needs that affect a man's attitude toward his work and the way he performs it. But this is the difference. Motivators are factors that cause an employee to do a better job. Maintenance factors are those that simply maintain present work levels. Factors, in other words, that help prevent an employee from doing a poorer job. We might illustrate it this way. Motivators are what hoist the sail so that the boat will move as rapidly as possible. Maintenance factors pull up the anchor so that the boat will move at all. For efficient operation of the boat or the company, we must have both of them. But we must also realize that they are separate functions. Another difference, motivators are factors or conditions that relate to the job a person is doing, not to the surroundings in which he is doing it. Maintenance factors, on the other hand, relate to the conditions under which the job is being done, the environment, rather than the job itself. Now let us be as specific as we can about these motivators and maintenance factors. Just what are they? First, the four basic motivation factors. The first of these is achievement.
Hey, trooper, knock it off, will you?
Ah, too bad. No trumpets, no trombones. This calls for a real fanfare.
Feeling pretty proud of yourself, are you?
Nothing that any red-blooded young American genius couldn't have done. Take a look at this.
You've really done it, haven't you?
In spite of what you-know-who said.
It's a great job.
This isn't a job. This is my baby.
I like it. It'll save a lot of work time.
Whether they like it or not, I like it. With your permission, I will play just one more brief salute to my baby.
Achievement. The feeling of satisfaction. The sense of personal accomplishment that comes with the knowledge that a challenge has been met, that a job has been well done. Now, for most employees, achievement is very much its own reward. It is a basic motivator that makes the achiever want to go on to even better work and greater accomplishments. How does the manager make use of achievement as a motivator? Well, obviously, an employee must know that he has accomplished something. He must first understand what is expected of him if he is later to know that he has exceeded expectations. This means that supervisors must clearly outline goals if achievement is to be an effective motivator. The second basic motivating factor is recognition.
Say, dear, you just might possibly be interested in something the boss said yesterday.
He said that nobody else could have handled that mess Monday the way you did, and he said that you were the kind of man who had a future in the company.
Right.
I'm sorry, a bright future.
Let's not forget it.
Well, I've only heard it at dinner last night and breakfast this morning.
That is no excuse.
Well, anyway, I don't know what's so great about it. I could have told you the same thing.
Well, somehow, dear, no offense, it seemed to mean more coming from the boss.
Recognition is closely related to achievement. It is meaningless unless it has been earned. In general, recognition is an expression of approval or appreciation by others whose opinion and judgment are valued. Recognition may take several forms. There may be personal commendation from superiors, pay increases or promotion, notice in company publications. Recognition may be extended outside the company. Awards or citations may receive notice in trade or general news media. Recognition is the external expression of the inner sense of satisfaction a person derives from achievement. The third major motivating force is participation. It has to do with an employee's personal involvement in his work. It is the degree of freedom he is allowed to do his job his own way, the amount of responsibility he's given in setting up and accomplishing his work objectives.
We've always done it that way.
Yeah, the old refrain.
Yeah, but this time I got him to change the lyrics. I said, let me assemble the whole thing. If it works, it's going to save a lot of time. If it doesn't, well, it's my fault, and I'll take the blame.
Well, I got to admit it, Frank. Smoothest operation we've ever had. But it kind of puts an extra load on you, doesn't it?
So I got an extra headache or two. At least it's me pushing me, not somebody else. And I'm not getting that same old routine.
The way we've always done it.
Most employees are far more strongly motivated if they feel they are making a personal contribution toward the performance of the job, rather than simply taking orders. And the employee should have this feeling of participation not only about his own individual tasks, but about overall department effort as well. The fourth motivating factor is growth. Obviously, the employee who feels he's at a dead end, that his job offers no interest or opportunity, may not be strongly motivated to perform in more than a routine manner. He must feel that the opportunity exists for a more interesting job or more challenging assignments on his present job. He must have the feeling that he is growing in experience, skill, knowledge, and understanding of his field. If he has personal experience of such growth on the job, he will naturally be encouraged to exert more effort. But even the fact of someone else being rewarded may serve as a valuable motivational force, for it is convincing evidence that growth opportunities exist.
Sure, I know Ned Edwards. He started with the company same year I did.
I saw him last week. He tells me he's in charge of one of the parts divisions.
Yep, I got a note from him a couple weeks ago.
He's moving right along.
Well, that's the way it is around here. If a man shows he can do the job, they give him a chance to grow. I sent Ned my congratulations, but you can tell him something else if you happen to see him before I do.
What's that?
You can tell him I'm going to be moving up there right alongside him.
It may be well to remember that when this growth factor does not apply, as it cannot in every job, this does not mean that motivational techniques cannot be used by management. The other motivating factors still may be present. In actual work situations, these four motivational factors are interrelated and often overlap. In different cases, each will assume varying degrees of importance. All jobs provide the opportunity for establishing some motivational conditions. But even where almost no motivational conditions exist, job dissatisfaction does not automatically occur. Under such circumstances, current levels of job performance simply do not improve. Perfectly adequate work levels may be maintained. Maintaining these satisfactory minimum levels depends not on the motivating factors, but on what management experts call the maintenance factors. What are they? Again, as with the motivators, we can list 4 principal factors. First, there is the element of physical conditions.
Hey, guess what I found in the chicken soup?
What? Chicken? Boy, things are looking up around here.
No kidding, I think the food around here is getting better.
This matter of eating is very important with you, isn't it?
Well, the way I look at it is this. The job I do isn't much, so the least the company can do is make me comfortable.
And with you, happiness is a big chicken leg.
Well, it may not seem like much, but little things do add up.
Well, stick around. Who knows what might be next with the soup? Maybe Playboy bunnies to dish it up.
The physical environment surrounding a job is important. Facilities, light, ventilation, sanitation, even the color of the walls. However, these are not motivating factors. If these things don't measure up to basic standards, the employee may be dissatisfied, but providing them won't motivate him to extra effort. The same is true of security.
Gee, Mrs. Simpson, have you really been here for 25 years?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's longer than I...
Longer than you've been alive, Mildred? I know. Isn't it wonderful?
Wonderful? Well, I never thought the jobs here were exactly wonderful.
I suppose not, but, you know, this may sound silly, but I feel so at home here. Like I have nothing to worry about. The company, everybody, they've always treated me so well. Have another piece of cake, Mildred.
No, thanks, Miss Simpson. Things are getting just a little too sticky around here.
Well, dear, when you've been here as long as I have, you'll see things differently. Different things seem important.
Satisfaction. That's what the security factor provides. It reflects the employee's attitude toward the company, its stability, its work rules, policies, the fairness of supervisory personnel. Important, of course, but not as motivators. The feeling of security leads to satisfaction with a job, not to any desire to do it better. Third among the maintenance factors is the economic factor. The dollars and cents of wages and salaries, vacation pay, insurance, and other fringe benefits. Included in this maintenance factor are automatic pay increases, or any raises which come without being specifically earned.
No use asking the Townleys over. Charlie has some kind of night class he goes to on Tuesdays. We were kidding him about it today.
Why? If Charlie wants to get ahead?
If he wants to go to school forever, you mean?
You used to say yourself you didn't want to spend all your life right where you are.
Forget it. That's when I was young and eager. Anyway, we're doing okay. Got a nice little house here, some money saved up in the credit union, 3 weeks vacation a year.
Yes, but...
Why take a chance on something new when all I have to do is sit right where I am and keep my nose clean? We'll be okay, what with the pension and all.
There speaks a satisfied man, not a motivated one. The fourth element in keeping employees satisfied may be called social factors. These involve an employee's relations with his associates and fellow workers.
You know, I had to punch you right in the nose.
A little more respect for my gray hair, young man.
That's the trouble. I had too much respect for that gray hair and that bad shoulder you said you had, and that stoved-up back. You could hardly bend over, remember? And then you bow 187.
As you get older, you gotta get tricky. I hope you didn't mind the guys kidding you.
No. As a matter of fact, one thing's worried me since I've been at the plant. Everybody's so nice.
That's bad?
You know, you don't figure people are really your friends if they're always polite. After tonight, I ought to feel right at home.
Yeah, if it's insults you're after, the bowling league's the place to come.
I think it is. Well, we'll see you tomorrow, Tom.
Good night, Eddie.
Such things as recreational opportunities and facilities can be decisive in keeping an employee contented. Social factors also involve the congeniality of the people with whom the employee works and those he sees at lunch and so on. This, then, is the motivation maintenance concept as developed by industrial psychologists. How can it be applied by managerial personnel? The manager must satisfy the maintenance needs of his employees. This is, in effect, the floor that keeps work performance from declining. And he must create conditions of motivation so that performance levels will rise. It must be recognized that effective motivation conditions are sometimes difficult to establish. By their very nature, some jobs and the people who perform them are maintenance-centered. While efforts at motivation in these instances cannot be neglected, the manager's emphasis may have to be on maintenance needs, preventing dissatisfaction and holding the line against any deterioration in work levels. But admittedly, there are practical limits to how far a manager may go in making changes to satisfy all maintenance needs. He simply cannot control the work environment in many cases. It is precisely in such situations that he should pay added attention to motivation. For the fact is that maintenance factors take on added importance for employees when conditions of motivation are not provided. When there is little apparent opportunity in the job itself, when the employee feels no challenge or goal beyond the daily minimum, then the satisfaction which the job does not provide must be obtainable from pleasant surroundings, adequate wages, and fringe benefits.
You know, the one good thing about this spot, it gives you about a 10-second jump so you can beat everybody out of the parking lot. So long, everybody.
Where motivation is lacking, maintenance factors take on more and more importance. But where motivation is strong, the employee tends to overlook his environment, even its unpleasant elements.
Lunch? Gee, it is late. But I think we just about have this thing worked out, though. Another few minutes should do it. Meanwhile, we can eat a little more grease.
The effectiveness of the motivation maintenance concept in action depends almost entirely on the individual supervisor, how well he understands and how firmly he believes in this management approach. More than that, it depends on how much he wants to make it work, how strongly, in other words, he is himself motivated to improve as a manager. What motivates a manager? Exactly the things that motivate other employees, the same wants and needs: achievement, recognition, participation, and growth. These are the things you as a manager are seeking. The purpose of this entire program is to help you develop and use your leadership abilities to the fullest. Behind it is the company's conviction that its goals can be achieved only if all employees are given the opportunity to reach their personal goals. This process begins with you. The first step is to be sure you grasp the importance of motivation, that you clearly see the distinction between motivating those who look to you for leadership and merely maintaining their present levels. The next step in the program is open discussion. In these sessions, you will take the basic principles and apply them to your own supervisory situations. You will come to grips with some stubborn problems. You will find that the study of motivation provides no easy answers. But the program, as it unfolds, will lead you to re-examine your job and to determine how you can do it better by making use of this matter of motivation.